All right, let's talk about conflict styles. The first conflict style we're going to talk about is passive. These are the people that find that they don't worry about themselves. They worry about the others. They're the avoiders or the accommodators. These are the people that try not to deal with conflict at all, or they just want to let the other person deal with it. The next one, and there's the ones that my needs are important, but yours are, but mine are not so much. The next one are aggressive. These are the people that are, my needs are important, but yours, not so much. These are the competitors and somewhat the avoiders. The avoiders are competitors, but primarily competitors. And those are the ones that are really concerned about getting theirs and making sure they get theirs. And we're not worried about whether or not you get yours. All right. So we just did passive and then we did aggressive. I bet you can't guess what's next. Yeah, passive aggressive. These are the ones that are going to pretend like they think your needs are important, but they're really not. Passive aggressive people are the ones that are just really like, oh, fine, I'll agree to that because, well, you're going to do it to me anyway, or whatever. They're going to act like they're accommodating you or doing that, but they're really just trying to be aggressive, to be honest with you. With the last one being assertive. Assertive are those people that they both needs are important. And these are the ones that are cooperative or collaborative. They're the ones that are really trying to make sure that everybody gets what they need out of the situation. All right. So when we're talking about resolving disputes, there's some certain elements that you need to be aware of. The first one is that all parties resolving dispute have to have the authority to do so. We run into this in mediation occasionally because what will happen is you'll have someone come in and they'll be there as the landlord or they'll be representing the landlord, and then you'll have the tenant. The problem is that when it comes down to accepting how much they're going to pay or how much time these people have, they don't actually have the authority to say, okay, fine, we'll accept 80% of the pay, just move out tomorrow. They have to call and get permission. They have to get that thing. So when you're resolving a conflict, make sure that all the parties involved in the conflict have the authority to resolve it. Both parties have to have some level of commitment to resolving it. Again, I've done mediations in the past, divorce mediations that I've gone through, 3-hour mediation sessions. We're on session number 4. We're down to the point where the husband's like, you know what? You can just have everything. I want my 401k. That's it. And it's like a little 401k. He just said, you can have the house. You can have the equity in the house. You can have my tools. You can have all of the things. You can have this retirement plan. I just want this little $3,000 401k. You can have everything else. And the wife goes, no. Because the wife didn't want to end the divorce. She was not ready for the divorce. She didn't want to end it. So going into a conflict, if you've got someone that actually thrives on conflict or just doesn't want to be done with this conflict, you can't try to resolve it. And that plays into the next one, which both parties have to want to resolve the conflict. Like I said, you've got people that just literally don't want it. They thrive on living in the moment and dealing with these issues, or they're relishing in the idea that it's making you very uncomfortable. Sure, it hurts them, but it may hurt you worse, and therefore that's what they're going to deal with. And then you move on to the next one, that they cannot be mentally dysfunctional. And I'm not just talking about someone who is maybe low on the IQ scale or something like that. We're talking about people that are actually inebriated or intoxicated, and they can't actually make a decision. Maybe they're elder and they have Alzheimer's, and you've got to catch them in the morning because if you catch them in the evening, they don't remember anything. So when you're talking about mental dysfunction, it's not just one situation or another. It's any of it. Now, when you go into a mediation or you go into a negotiation or a conflict and you're trying to resolve this dispute, you cannot walk in with the idea of, if I don't get this, I'm leaving. Because that doesn't allow for any room to adjust, to be able to cooperate or collaborate to find a solution. That is just flat out, if I don't get my way, I'm gone. Well, you're not resolving the dispute at that point. That's literally where what forced you probably into the dispute to start with. Now, once we're trying to negotiate, let's say all these things are there and we're trying to negotiate, we need to get to the why behind the what. Robert Urey, in his book, Getting to Yes, sorry. He's got Getting Past No too, and he's got several other books. But anyway, they really introduced the idea of positional bargaining versus interest bargaining. We're talking about positions versus interests. So there's things that we do in life that is that. When we're looking at positions and interests, we're talking about things that the idea of My position is, I want this. Excuse me. My interest behind this is that I need to have this, this, and this in order to accomplish it. So let's look at some ideas. Your position is you need an A. You're not passing her, you're a low B right now, and you come to me and you say, I need an A. That's your position. Okay, well, I need you to earn that A. We're good, right? No, that's positional bargaining. We're sitting there arguing back and forth of the position. Now, what happens when I start delving into this is, well, why do you need an A? What is it about that why do I need to work with you to get an A? Because in order for me to get scholarships, I have to retain this 4.0 or 3.75 or whatever GPA that you have to have. At which point now I'm looking at it going, okay, so what can we do to help you raise your GPA or maintain your GPA in order to do these things? Now, let's say I'm going to go buy a house. I'm going to say I'm willing to pay $100,000 house, but you got to pay closing costs. And the other person's like, I'm not paying your closing costs. I paid all my closing costs when I moved in. You should pay your own closing costs. So I want, as the seller, I want $100,000 for the house, and you pay your own closing costs. Well, I can only pay $100,000 total, so you pay the closing costs, and we go back and forth. That's positional bargaining. Now, when I explain this, I've only been approved for $100,000. I don't have any more cash. So if you want to sell me this house, you're going to have to adjust your price, say down to $85,000, and then cover $15,000 worth of closing costs. Make sense? Okay. And the last one. Now this one I actually saw in a mediation, and it was really a little bit heartbreaking. What would happen, and let me give a little backstory really quick. I mean, I know we're running long, but a little backstory on this is that in Tennessee, if you are never married parents, which means that you have a child but you've never been married, mom has all the rights. Dad has nothing. The only right dad has is the right to pay child support. That is until there's a court order granting him rights, at which point then it changes. So we're in a mediation. We're working out a co-parenting plan. Dad's like, I want to spend every Saturday with my daughter. And mom's like, I want a Saturday too, so you can have every other weekend. You can have Saturday and Sunday. So you still get the same amount of time, but I get Saturday, one Saturday, you get the next one. Well, they went back and forth in this, and of course we're negotiating, so we're doing all the other little elements that are in there. Eventually, it just came to a loggerhead. It came to that stop where it's like, you know what? It can't move. He's wanting every Saturday. She's not wanting to give every Saturday. So we stopped. We took a break. We talked to each person individually. I don't remember what we talked to mom about. When we talked to dad, it's like, okay, look, I get that you're really dead set on every other Saturday. What she's offering is the same number of days, just on, every other weekend. And he's like, no, I have to have every Saturday. And finally, like, why do you have to have every Saturday? The guy goes, the only day I get off during the week is Saturday. If I take every other weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I only actually get to spend half the amount of time with my daughter, because the other time my mom's going to have her because I'll be at work. So we're like, okay, you need to tell her this. This is information. We won't tell her, but you need to. So we come back to the main cave, back together. We're talking about this, and she's like, I want every other Saturday. He's like, I want every other Saturday. She's like, you can have every other weekend. And we're back to that same button heads back and forth. And finally, dude goes, look, I want every Saturday because it's my only day off. And he goes and he explains that to her. And mom's like thinking about this and says, you know what? You can have every Saturday. So when you look at this and you think about getting the interest behind the position, it's the idea of trying to figure out why you want what you want and then explaining it, because people just see the what and they don't necessarily want to move, but they see the why in there. And sometimes that can be what the leverage that causes things to change.